Hi, everyone. My name is Roland Kim, realtor with Keller Williams in Vancouver and part of the Kimbuna team, top 1% team in Metro Vancouver. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the 90-day touch plan, as well as a few little added bonuses. And those bonuses are, we'll show you the social media marketing that samples of what we send out, and then just share some other marketing ideas that I've seen realtors in the marketplace, and some of those we've used ourselves to further interact and communicate with your clients. So what the purpose of today is, again, is to cover what we at the Kimbuna team do to communicate with our sellers over the first 90 days of having a listing. Depending on the market that you're in, and many realtors who've only been around a couple of years have not been in markets where it's taken 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to sell a property. And so their marketing plan might only be 10 days long. And they also might have a problem of doing a lot of work and a lot of communication and marketing of the listing, but not communicating or proving that to the client. And one of the worst things as a listing agent, hopefully you will never feel it, but many of us have, is when you've done a lot of work and at the end of perhaps your 3-month listing agreement, the seller feels that you haven't done enough work and you might not have done enough proof of the work that you've done, and they hire another realtor, and you've done all of that for free. And even more so, the seller really doesn't understand the value that you have offered and the time that you have invested into the property. And so it's a really important part to make sure that you are always communicating what you're doing and that you have a plan of action in place that you can replicate and repeat, and make sure that you are marketing the listings consistently and effectively, and that you are getting the credit for it. So at our Kimbuna team, we have a pretty strong setup of all the items that we do to communicate to our clients, the marketing that we are undertaking. Some of it is pre-listing, and some of it is once the property is active. So I'll run through these, and then I'll show you some images of similar things that we send out for each one to the client. So as soon as we have confirmation with the client and we've signed paperwork, we make sure that we have a coming soon strategy. So we'll have a coming soon post that is pushed out into the marketplace 3 days before the listing goes live, and it is also shared through all our social media channels. We send out an email, a pre-listing email to the client, getting them just in the habit of signing something virtually, where they sign the authorization to get strata documents from the management company even before the property is listed. It's another touch point that we're, again, layering in with the client, making sure that we're communicating with them. We're going to outline stage 1 of the selling and listing process. It'll be an email that you'll see that we send to the client with all the different documents, and then we send them proof of the photographs, the floor plan, and the marketing materials that we took. And then we also share with them the public remarks. So let's kind of jump into that in a moment. Also, once the listing is active, you can see here that we have 3 months distinct things that we are doing for each listing to market and communicate to the client. So in the first month, in the first week, we share the MLS listing. We'll have a social media summary of everything that we've done that we share to the client. We'll share mortgage flyer information. We do a 30-day report at the end of the first month. Also, in the second and third week, we'll share with them the different marketing materials, an Ellie report, our Google ads. They'll be featured in our newsletter. We'll share with them the multiple listing statistics, where they get to see how many people are looking at their property and how many people are looking at their property on realtor.ca. And that's just month 1. And then month 2, again, sharing with them statistics. We'll talk about something that's a peer review, again, statistics from realtor.ca. We'll share with them the 60-day report, and so on. And the other 2 things that I've just noticed that are not on here, but very important. So every Monday, the listing agent is sending a summary to the client of the activity that's happened in the week before. So that actually should be up here. So on Mondays, on every single week, we send the client a summary of the private showings that we had, of the activity that we had at the open house. And what we're trying to show is often, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into the listing, we're looking for re-engaging folks that have seen it in the past, and perhaps showing, hey, we're getting second showings, or, showing a track of buyers following up. And so every Monday, part of our communication to our client, again, is showing them what's happened to their listing in the past week in response to private showings and open houses. And every Wednesday or Thursday, I do it on Wednesdays each week, the listing agent sends an email and to the client that shows them in a link all the new active properties that have come onto the market in the past week that are now competition to us, and also all the properties that have sold in the past week that were competition to us. And sometimes from the sold properties, we're able to see that, Tommy Lee of Realty Group showed our listing to their client 2 weeks ago, and now it looks like they purchased this one over here. So I'll follow up with Tommy Lee and kind of say, hey, is it the same client that saw our property at 123 Main Street? Why did they pick that other one? And we're able to connect the dots and get really good feedback for the client. All right, so jumping into visually how it breaks down. So the coming soon, it might be an email for us. It's an email with a similar language to this that shows the images of our social media coming soon marketing piece, and then it'll be posted on all our different channels. And here's just a sample of the channels that we have access to. Of course, we're part of a team, so we have more channels, but you'd be surprised how many syndicated platforms there are where your listing goes out to. And then there's a lot of Facebook pages and different platforms where perhaps with a small investment, you can showcase your listing, be creative and find ways of pushing the listing out there beyond just the MLS. And again, part of doing everything is showing the client that you're doing it so that you're held accountable, because these are the steps that you've been, that they're investing into you, that they're paying you for, that you wrote into the listing contract. And you also want to protect your job to make sure that they understand that you are doing all the things that you told them that you would be doing. We send them an email again in the pre-listing stage that gets them to sign authorization for the licensee to obtain strata documents. We're really proud of the fact for all our listings, we get our strata documents up right away. We want to make sure that we're professional and have all the information we need for the property. And also it's a nice time for the seller to get comfortable with virtual signing. So our goal in the future for negotiation is to get virtual signing as the way we operate. That way we can be most effective and respect our client's time. And so this is, again, another touch point that we would have shared with the client after they sign this document, even before the property is listed. Once we have all the paperwork collected, we will send a summary of stage 1 of the selling and listing process to the seller. Again, this is pre-listing, so the property hasn't even gone live, but what we're sharing with the seller is all the documents that they have signed. And again, this is a legal obligation to you as a realtor you need to do. And it also just shows professionalism. We'll outline the strategy. So we'll specify to them when the photography is going to happen, when we're going to list. We'll summarize the showing schedule. We'll clarify the public open houses. And in that way, we are doing a few things. Again, showing that we are delivering on what we said we would. We're keeping them informed. We're showing them what we're doing. And sometimes by these steady multiple touch points, things come up that we've talked about and the seller didn't hear, or perhaps we didn't talk about it. And it reminds us it's something else that we still need to cover. So imagine now that the process is a bit further and the photographs have been taken of the property and the Matterport has been taken and the content for floor plans and all that great information, including our social, lifestyle video. We have it all complete. We will send an email to the client prior to the listing going live with a link to all of these materials. We spend a lot of money for each one of our listings. Each one of our listings, regardless if it's a one bedroom, $800 or one bedroom, $400,000 condo or a, $8 million house, we do at least everything that we've covered here in our marketing and communication. And then we add more to it for some listings. But the point is we run a system that replicates itself. We rinse and repeat it and we get the same results. And for that reason, we sell a property, every 1 to 2 days consistently and have consistently for well over a decade now. It's because we've created a system that works and we invest into every listing. And that's important because certainly as a leader at our office over the years, I have seen that some realtors will pick and choose what they're going to invest into with the client. And I don't agree with that style. One, because the client likely doesn't know what you're not doing and they've paid for the full package. And secondly, you don't know if the listing is going to sell quickly. And a lot of the things that we are doing, layering into the process, are allowing, the listing to have more visibility 2-3 weeks down the road, 2-3 months down the road. And it's all part of a layered marketing plan to make sure that over the next 90 days, we're marketing the property and communicating to the client. Pre-listing will also share with the client our public remarks. It allows us to understand if the seller feels we've captured, the listing remarks adequately, and we get their confirmation just so there's no surprises later where they feel maybe it should have been worded differently, and we confirm, the language that we think is best to showcase the property and get the buy-in from the clients. And again, that is an email prior to listing where the client feels very involved and feels grateful for being professionally treated and having an opinion. So now imagine that the listing is live. The listing has gone on to the market. We will send an email to the seller saying, congratulations, your listing is now live on the MLS multiple listing service. It's now exposed to more than 15,000 realtors. And here's a link to your listing. And, hopefully you go and share it with your friends and forward it. And at the very least, you get to see that now your property is in front of 15,000 realtors and their clients. Then we send them, then we get into action. We make sure we have all the marketing materials printed and effectively moving forward. Then we'll send an email to our clients with our custom signage and our custom flyers. And if we're doing snack packs or other custom marketing, such as our Canadian bonus that we sometimes do on listings, they're all, being shown because we've actually done it. And now we're showing to the client what we've done so that we are proving and earning our spot as their listing agent and keeping them informed on where we are in the process. On that first week as well, they'll get an email. And this is just some of the handles where they're marketing, where their property will be marketed. But we send them a link and ask them as well, please share the listing yourself on any social channels that you have or circles or networks that you can, and let's get more exposure to your listing. And so I think a big difference between our team and other successful realtors that might not be so organized is that they do a lot of this, but they aren't showing it to their client. And so in that way, you are exposing yourself to a lot of risk that if the listing takes a long time to sell, the seller's natural thing to focus on is price or their realtor switch. And, if you haven't done a good job of, one, doing the work, and two, communicating the work that you've done, you might find that you're going to be replaced even though you've done a fine job. So again, we make sure that we are sharing what we've done with the client. There's a document that we invest into called the Ellie report. It organizes all the strata documents that we've received by this point into a very usable, readable document that, when requested, is shared with buyers. It allows, again, buyers to more easily review and digest the strata documents. Sellers receive it, review it, make sure that they're comfortable with it. And it's another investment that we as a listing team have invested into to market the client's property. We'll share with them in the process the snapshot of how their listing is being showcased and received on the MLS system. So how many searches their listing is matched to, how many of those searches have clicked on it, have favored it as a possible favorite, it might have forwarded to a friend. So it gives you a really good intel as a realtor as well when you do enough deals that you can be like, oh, wow, we're getting really good interest. This is great. Or, wow, we're not getting as much interest as I thought. So what's wrong? Where's our price? What's happening? And it's informative. The client will probably never have seen this, even if they sold with several other realtors, even though this is easily available in the Vancouver MLS system to be grabbed and showcased. As well as the MLS, there's also a realtor.ca market stats that we show and share with the client. We have relationships with different banks and lenders. We'll create a mortgage flyer sheet that we share with our mortgage partners that are pushing it out to their clients as well. And some of them are showcased in banks around town, just doing, again, everything we can to grow the audience of people who've seen our clients' listing. We create Google ads and Instagram ads. And so we're showing that. We're showing examples of the ads that were placed to the client. Big difference between doing something and showing something is the examples, right? And so it's a nice visual that you can share with your seller so they know that you've done that and you're trying everything you can. Oh, here we go. Here's the message I earlier talked about where we're sharing realtor.ca statistics. So this one shows how well that listing was received in the realtor.ca platforms. Perfect. We will share with them a market update. We will give them as much information as we can about what's happening in the marketplace to give them comfort on where we are in the process and what to expect next, so they don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the only listing that's not being shown, or oh my gosh, it's so busy, what should I do? So we give them updates to the marketplace in specific to the type of property that they have. We have specific points in time. It's 30, 60 days. Sometimes we do a 15-day report, but certainly every 30 days, we create a multi-page report that covers all the things that we've done to market the property. Again, shows them examples of it. It has links to everything, and it gives them a summary of the number of showings we've had. It gives them a summary of the key feedback we've received on showings, and it gives them a suggested course of action going forward. I find that this document, often when it's a little bit, difficult, where like the market has not received our listing as positively as we were hoping, and we're still on the market after 30 days, 60 days, it allows the client to professionally see that you're doing everything you can and to digest often what comes down to a price adjustment. And if you're a realtor that just, comes out of the blue 45 days later, very minimal showings, very minimal communication with your client, and say, client, I want you to reduce the price by 6%. We just haven't been getting the showings. The client's natural reaction is to like, how do I know that that's needed? Because how do I know you've done everything that you can, that you said you would do? And we are doing it. And of course, we are showing it. And these documents that we're providing and creating is allowing the client to digest and visually confirm that, it's probably a price feature that needs to be adjusted in order for the property to sell. We have a monthly awesome newsletter, the Kim Boona newsletter, where the property will be featured in. So we show them examples of where their property was featured in the most recent newsletter in case they didn't read the newsletter. Interesting one that we're starting to do. So a new touch point that we're creating is, especially as we're moving into a more, balanced buyer's market, is peer review. So if we're in month 2 and we just feel like we're on task and we've done everything that we can, we ask for favors from some great realtors in our office, and we get them to go view the property and give us a quick, no strings attached, no skin in the game review of the property. How do they think we're priced? What else could we do, with outside of pricing it lower to improve the property and get it sold? And then where should we be on price? And often when we're sharing this information with our clients, they know that we've leaned into our relationships with our peers, and that's based on the relationships we've created. And we're getting some really positive, neutral, powerful information that gives us more intel on where we need to be. Again, make sure that you're available to your own realtor peers, that you help them out if they need it, so that that circle of value continues, and you can use peer review in your seller updates. So those in a nutshell were kind of like all the different seller touch points that we do over a 90-day period. They repeat, and there's a few that, of course, that I was talking to you about that I don't have an illustration for, which again is every Monday, the listing agent must send an email to the client summarizing the activity that's happened in the previous 7 days. And every Wednesday, we send an email. The listing agent sends an email to the seller with a link to all the new competing listings to ours and all the listings that have sold in the past 7 days. So we're constantly giving the most current information. I think here we have some touch points that we have samples in our social media. So maybe this is a little bit of a bonus for you. It needs to be updated because a lot of our social media examples have actually even improved from here. But again, this is an image of what we ran for a long time of our coming soon image. We'll have our just listed image for social media on all these different platforms. We would do reels and lifestyle videos. Now we've also added in creating a very cool video simply using the Matterport system. And so that's another great video that we're able to push out into the system. Again, these are samples of Google Ads that you might want to invest into and share with your sellers. This would be an ad for an open house on social media. This is a video that we sometimes do where we're like trying to describe the perfect buyer for the home. So are you a fit? Do you have all these features that you want? And if so, you're a fit for these properties because 4 of these features, are correct for you. That being said, here in summary, what I wanted to talk to you about is giving you some other ideas. So in our 90-day touch plan for our Kimbuna team with the things that we communicate with our sellers, we make adjustments over time, and like everything, our systems do change, but they change very slowly. Anything we incorporate, we want to do for a long time and make sure it's valuable and make sure that it's the right things to invest our marketing dollars, our admin time, and our own time into. So we're not, doing things that have really no value. But some things, again, to remind you that do work in selling listings that you might want to invest into, that you might want to do to sell your properties. And then in turn, if you're going to do them, make sure that you're communicating them to your seller and including them in your 90-day seller update plan so that you get the credit for it. Could be radio ads for your property, newspaper ads. It's funny, I think with newspapers being the way they are, where the few ads that are out there are probably getting some good exposure. You can do printed mail outs in the building, in the neighborhood. You can do a neighborhood flyer distribution. You could get notepads printed with your listing on it and distribute it around the listing. Again, getting your listing exposed in banks. You can door knock the area and hand out the listing. Actively call agents in the area who do a lot of the business and share your listing and then email it to them. You could send mailers to different real estate offices or cooperating realtors of your listing. Make sure that you have public open houses, realtor open houses. Unique experiences and events is also something that you could do to market the property. You could get a pre-home inspection completed on the home where the seller, the future buyers receive this document. They can still get their own inspection done, but they know that it's been reviewed by an independent inspector to give them some initial feedback. You can do custom signage, building data sheets. You can do so much. Again, if you're going to do it, make sure that you can consistently do it to all your listings and also make sure that you're communicating it to your seller, because the whole point of this short presentation was to make sure that we are avoiding the time where you are getting fired, so to speak, as a realtor, or getting replaced from a listing that's taking a while to sell because you haven't done a good job of communicating everything you have done. And I've had that problem early in my career where I was so busy, working a few listings and doing a great job marketing and interacting with the listing and the community, but I wasn't doing a good job interacting with the seller. And so at the end of my 3-month listing process, the seller didn't trust that everything had been done and they chose to go with another realtor. And I lost that opportunity and I lost hours and hours of work that I didn't communicate to the client. And what a waste, what a shame. So I hope this offered you some ideas of what you can do once you get the listing secured on how you're going to communicate with your clients and how you are going to make sure that you're getting the value for the time that you've put in. Thanks, folks.
I ask you a question?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to stop the recording here.
This is Joanna. I really appreciate your presentation. I know it was only me, but it really